Thank you for joining us today for Jennifer Schouts and Associates in our webinar program. We're coming to you live from Washington, D.C. Our webinars are every Wednesday and are provided complimentary. They're recorded and can be downloaded from our YouTube channel, website and YouTube channel, which now holds over 300 of our government contracting webinars. We will be answering questions at the conclusion of this presentation in the bottom right-hand of the menu. Just type in your question and we'll be reading those out at the end of the presentation. A little bit about us. We work with U.S. federal government contractors, including product, service, and software firms. Our services range from market analysis reports to contract vehicles and compliance. More information is on our website. We also have opportunities for your organization to advertise in our newsletter. We now reach more than 19,800 subscribers, and this includes both contractors and government. Contact us for pricing information with the email shown on your screen. And now to introduce our speakers, Liz DeRosa and Dave Lowe. Welcome, Liz and Dave. We are glad to have you here with us today, and I'll turn the floor over to you.
All right, Liz, you can go ahead since you're the headliner.
Sure, absolutely. Well, thank you all so much for joining us today. I know there's 100+ people that have signed up, which is awesome. I work with individuals who are motivated to leverage the digital world to maximize their brand exposure and turn followers into hot leads. Dave?
That's fantastic. If you want to click to the next thing, we'll wind up going through exactly what we do. I'm
Absolutely.
Dave Lowe, I'm the CEO of ISI Federal, and we've been around since 2009. Everything that you see there on the right-hand side of the screen is under the ISI Federal umbrella. It is driven from market essentials, which we have created over the course of time, 64 million plus federal contracts that collects all the past data and assembles that. We have 1.2 million federal contacts, 3.1 million vendor contacts, and then we take all these pieces and slam them together because we know that some of them are program managers and some of them are active buyers, and we want to figure out who's buying in your space. And that's what Market Essentials does. It gives us the overview of your market space. We can identify the people that are operating there, and then we can go find the people that are buying from your competitors and go punch them in the mouth and steal their business. That's what we're about. So we use things like GovBrief. We push the information out to the federal marketplace, and we use that on a regular basis, not unlike what we're doing right here. And then we repackage that and retool it so that it looks in a more professional way. And we leverage that as an evangelistic platform to get you out there branded in the federal market and set you up as a subject matter expert. We also launched VFedCon. This is how I got together with Liz DeRosa and Jennifer Schouts, because they were both featured on that platform. It was the first ever virtual industry day, 100% virtual, and we drove that, and it was a crazy time, wasn't it, Liz?
Absolutely, it was great.
It was great. We had a lot of fun. And so on the other pieces there that you see on the right-hand side is beta.sam.bid, which is a collection tool that spits the things out to you faster than you can possibly get it from beta.sam.gov. We're going to be talking about beta.sam.gov in a few minutes. And Quick Fuse is only for GSA contract holders and does exactly the same thing. Goes to eBuy, collects the information, shoots that to you so that you have a competitive advantage. And you can leverage that to get ahead of additional opportunities that can come down the street by grabbing the information from the contacts, both on the program side and the buyer side from GSA eBuy, and it does it automatically. And so you can check that out as well. GSA Direct is for products that we drive directly to GSA Advantage so they can click and buy from you. So we do professional business development support, which is the stuff that salespeople hate to do, which is follow up and do all the emails and all the marketing things. And we do the grunt work, cold calls and things like that, because it's still necessary to help you build your brand. And you can go to the next thing, in which I will reintroduce to you the superstar of social media, as I would say, is Liz DeRosa. She does a lot of great things, especially when it comes to LinkedIn. When you start talking about 56,000 people that she can reach out to, does a great job. So take this away and tell them about you, Liz.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I do business development as well, do it a little bit differently in the brand strategy and messaging for small business owners. And so working with individuals who are new to the contracting space and that are trying to get their message out there, trying to connect with primes, trying to connect with government contacts that are in their NAICS code, and, just work with them to make sure that they are putting their best foot forward to show what they could actually do. I use only paid platforms for finding these targeted lead lists, and they are things that we'll use in connecting with people on various social media platforms, email, event promotion, all that sort of stuff. But you guys aren't here to listen to how fabulous Dave and I are. You want these tips and tricks, right, Dave?
That's
that we're
right.
going to show them so they can use this Q4 and actually either make connections or reignite connections with their intended buyer, correct?
That is absolutely right. I think what's important is that you brought up is connections, because if you go to the next piece, we'll be talking about finding and winning opportunities, because I'm going to irritate a whole bunch of people right now. And just so you know, I'm not singling anybody out. It's universally that I'm going to irritate everybody, because we learned this a while back. And once you discover what we're about to say, you're going to start to understand the importance of the contacts and the connections and the ability to build those relationships, because you're going to see, and unless you want to keep playing on the bid machine, which you can, it's okay if you choose to do that, but we want to take you to a place where the opportunities really are, and we're going to discover that in just a minute. You can go flip that next screen there, Colton. You're doing a great job. Now, not yet, don't hit that yet. Everybody that you talk to sends you to beta.sam.gov. They say, we post everything on beta.sam.gov. Isn't that what they say? That's exact. But do they, Liz, do they?
No.
And I'm going to prove it to you, because if this doesn't blow your mind as it did me, this was 10 years ago when this started to blow my mind. You can hit the next one, Colton. So what we want to do is we want to quantify in 90 seconds. We're going to quantify opportunities versus awards in fiscal year 2019. And that's exactly what we're going to do. And you can go to isifederal.com, and there's a 90-second challenge. You can click it. Everything's right there. You can take this for yourself. Don't just take my word for it. Go and do it yourself. So what we're looking at is we take the time frame of a fiscal year. Now, I know that the things that are awarded previous fall into the next fiscal, all that kind of stuff, all the dollars and cents and contracts and things like that. But we need a quantifiable time. So we're taking the fiscal year of 2019, because 2020 is not done yet, not until September 30th. That's when it gets done. So flip the next one. So if you go and do this 90-second challenge, here's what you're going to find. You're going to find that there's 124,362 solicitations or combined solicitations that hit across the board, all industries, on beta.sam.gov. Sounds like a lot, doesn't it? Sounds like there's a lot of opportunities in the federal government, and I agree. There's a lot there. Let's take a look at how many awards there were, though. So flip that next one, Colton, for me. Now, awards are 10,748,714. If you're anything like me as a salesperson, I'm saying, where are the other 10.5 million of these? Over 10.5 million are not showing up in beta.sam.gov as a solicitation. So now you come back to me and say, hey, Dave, it has to be IDIQs and BPAs, because once they're awarded the IDIQ, the task orders are not public. That's fine. I agree with you. And also, BPAs, same thing. GSA, eBuy, they don't hit there. They don't have to hit there. When you take into account all of those, you're still in the 90% plus range that never hit any public exposure. This is where it blew my mind. Then we tooled back a little bit and say, okay, the 10.655 million, that's a lot. And by the way, the dollars associated with this are exactly the same as far as the dollars spent and the number of contracts that are awarded. So all the dollars and contracts, the vast majority will never post in a public forum. And you got to ask yourself why. So go ahead and hit the next one. So 2%, it's not even 2%, but let's just call it 2%. 2% are going to show up at beta.sam.gov and GSA eBuy. And in them, you have tons of competition. If you've bid on anything on beta.sam.gov, chances are you have come against dozens, sometimes over 100. We had
Hundreds.
we did a formal debrief with 142 respondents. That's a lot. There's no winner there, folks. I don't want to play there, because if you win, you probably either missed something or you just bought it because you wanted to get it. Here's the other part of it. The vast majority of the other 98% have less than 5 competitors. So that's where we want to play. And everything that we're about to talk about has to do with people, not opportunities. Has to do with connecting to people, because guess what? People still buy from people they like. Doesn't matter.
Even in the government.
Even in the government. Now, I agree that there are rules and there are hurdles and there are things that you have to do for all of those, everything. I agree. 100%. You have to meet all the criteria. But there's a lot, almost all. It's 76.4%, by the way, that have 5 or fewer competitors. Isn't that where you want to live? What is your plan? What is your plan to get to be one of the 5? I call it shortlisting, for lack of a better term. But really, all it is, it's building relationships and awareness of you. Because no matter what anybody says, people still buy from people they like. They definitely don't buy from people they don't like. Period. They don't do that. And it's very difficult for anybody to like you if they don't know who you are. So number one, what's your plan for people to get to know you? So let's talk about this right now. Go ahead, Carlton. Good grief. I'm going to do it. So we're going to start asking some questions. So what's in the way of you getting to the other 98%? Go ahead, Colton. Here's the issue. They don't know you. They don't even know you exist. And it's kind of like being back in middle school and, you see the attractive individual and they just don't even know you exist. They have no idea how great you are because they don't even know you exist. And it's very much like the dating game or whatever you want to call it. We'll do our best to be as politically correct as possible here. If you know me, I have a problem with. Go ahead to the next one, Colton, before I get myself in trouble already. People still buy from people they know and trust. Know, like, and trust. We got to get you there. Go to the next one. So the first thing we need to do is we got to find out who the buyers and the program managers are. Number one, that was what I looked at back in 2009. I got into this world kicking and screaming. I didn't even want to be here. I still don't even want to be here because it's so much of a pain. But even so, we have identified buyers and program managers, and we need to be able to shake that tree to say who is buying from what I sell, and how can I get them to pay attention to me? Unless you disrupt the pattern, it's going to continue. They're going to keep buying the same way they're buying right now, unless you disrupt the pattern. Then you have to, once you understand who they are, you can turn that around and push that out proactively. If you're waiting for the phone to ring, is it ringing? Is it ringing? It's about to get into September. Is it ringing? No, it's not ringing because you don't exist. To them, you don't exist. Then once you get out and proactively market, then they can figure out if they like you. As long as you're not spitting while you talk, especially now, or stepping on their shoes in the elevator or anything like that, you can come across as good and reasonable in your field. You are an expert at what you do. That's what they need to know, and they need to know who you are. So 1, find the buyers and program managers. 2, develop a strategy to go after them. And 3, build those relationships. And it's using and leveraging whatever tools you have. Social media, Liz, superstar, she will get you out and make sure that that's getting generated out in social media land. LinkedIn, probably #1 place. Am I right?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. You have to have a strong presence out there on LinkedIn, right?
Yep.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And oh, by the way, they absolutely respond well to, hey, I have this to sell on LinkedIn. Buy from me now, right? That's how they respond. That's what everybody wants to hear. Hey, I'm here.
Absolutely.
Buy this from me right this minute. Build a relationship. You don't willy-nilly buy from people. You buy from people you like. Everybody does the same thing. So let's figure out how we can get that working for you. Go ahead to the next one, Colton. So the first thing we want to do is we want to say, who is really in our target base? Number one way for me is to say, who's buying from my competition? Number one, who are the competitors in my space? If you've been around a little bit in the federal space, you probably know a few, and you know the ones you want to punch in the mouth. Just talked to somebody the other day. I said, look, give me a VP of your company, and you just make a list of all the people that you lost to over the past 2 years, and that will be our priority one target list to say, who are we going to go punch in the mouth? And then you can look at NAICS, PSC, SINs. These are SINs for GSA schedule holders. NAICS, most people know about the NAICS, but a lot of people don't know about PSCs. But these are just qualifiers and quantifiers to say, where are they doing this? NAICS, they're okay, but they're not all that great because they can be too broad, or maybe you're really niche oriented, or they just decide that they're going to use a different types of NAICS that starts or ends with a 99 because they want to put it out on other, because they don't want anybody else to see it. Believe it or not, they don't want 50 respondents any more than you want 50 competitors. They don't want to have to read all that crap. They want to do whatever they can to get that piece of paper off their desk. I don't want to minimize what they do. I love these people. They spend millions of dollars, millions. So we want to find the people that are buying by NAICS, PSC, SIN. More importantly, direct in the federal of that target, the middle of that target space is your competitors. Look at them first. Then you look at key indicators. If you're in construction, look for the people that are hiring architects. If you're selling furniture, look for the general contractors that are building buildings, or talk to facilities managers. There's a whole bunch of things that are all interwoven that we can see. If you're selling software, licenses, if you're doing mainframe modernization, find out where they have a mainframe. We did that. We've done that. So key indicators, and then recompetes. 1 + 4, what normally looks like, right, Liz? One year contract plus 4 option years. That's what usually happens. That means 5 years. Unless they really screw up, it's going to be 5 years. So you watch for these cycles to come. GovWin does a great job of that, right? They do. They look at it and say, hey, here's what's coming up as a recompete. Everything above $500,000. But what about the rest of the stuff? There's a lot of things that we can do as small businesses that will never hit any place like that. That's where we want to be. And we can look at the recompetes even for the smaller sized contracts. And there's hundreds of thousands of them, hundreds of thousands within what you buy. So you can go to the next one, Colton. So the next part, get out there and freaking pick up the phone and start talking to people. One of the biggest problems we have. Oh, well, they probably won't talk to me. You're right. They're not going to talk to you if you don't freaking pick up the phone. Pick up the phone. Do introductions, social media. I'm going to come right back to that in just a minute. I'm going to let you explain that even more. Be the SME, the subject matter expert. That's what you need to be. People respond to subject matter experts. They say, hey, these guys know what they're talking about. Let's talk to them, ask them a question. How do you think scopes of work get created to begin with? They come from people like you and me that are pushing our information out to them. And we're saying, hey, have you considered this? This is a new technology. Hey, have you considered this is a new process? Hey, just consider me because I'm better than those guys. At least let me play. So be the subject matter expert. And now I want to talk about social media because this is exploding right now. Exploding, especially now in this virtual environment. Everybody is looking for places to be able to connect virtually. So tell us about social media and how that plays into the proactive marketing part.
Sure, absolutely. Colton, can you flip a couple slides for me? Yep, perfect. Oh,
I'll talk about that.
And so, yep, go ahead.
Go ahead.
Okay. So yeah, introduction. You may be sitting there going, I don't know anybody who's a program manager. I don't know who to reach out to. That's fine. You know who you know, right? Leverage that. Call Dave and say, Dave, do you know anybody in this space? Call me. Do you know anybody in this? You have to reach out to people that you know. They will introduce you to other people, right? Even if I don't know that person personally, I will connect you on LinkedIn. People will respond to those messages. They want an authentic discussion, right? They want to talk about their business. They want to talk about their wins. They want to hear about yours, because all of those connections, right? That whole 6 degrees of Kevin Bacon, right? We are all connected, but we need to reach out and talk. And who knows, you could be talking to Kevin Bacon in 6 phone calls and he may be able to help you with something. Okay. And so you have to put yourself out there with emails, asking for those introductions, saying, Dave, how can I help you? Liz, how can I help you? Right? You offer help to somebody, they are definitely going to offer you help back, right? All of those connections, right? And that strengthens relationships. Okay. And so again, leveraging those relationships for targeted introductions, that is key. Colton, the next slide. So social media, right? You're likely more on LinkedIn now than you ever have been, right? And so is everyone else. Okay, including those people in the federal government. Okay, and so
apparently a bunch of people here, because I'm getting slammed with notifications on my phone.
Absolutely, absolutely. So consistent brand messaging, right? Take pieces of your capability statement and put it online, right? Let people know what your past performance has been, right? Talk about those things and make sure that you're putting yourself out there in your best light. No, you're not going to be posting your whole capability statement every single day. You've got to tweak it. You've got to add personality. You've got to put people in your company out there, their face, their voice, right? But that is so important to get your brand out there. Dave?
Oh, I agree. Next one, please. Go to the next slide, Colton. I'm 100% in there, and I can't stress this more. We literally, as we press this out in the marketplace with GovBrief, we have thousands of people that see it because of the process that we use. We make sure that we're pressing it out, and we're doing it as an education platform, not a sales platform. It is a sales platform, but we're putting it out as an education platform. Subject matter expert in your field. They'll derive the fact that you sell the stuff, don't worry, but showcase your skills, talents, and abilities, yes, by educating them. Give them something of value. Don't try to tell them, don't say, hey, what do you got for me? We do ask that question, what's coming? But we put it under the guise of saying, hey, we want to help you with whether you hire us or not, make sure you're doing things right. So go ahead to the next one, Colton. Yo. One more, Colton. There you go. Building relationships. All right, Liz, how long do you think it takes to develop rapport?
It can happen instantly.
Bam.
Yes.
It starts happening right away. Guess what? And Malcolm Gladwell wrote a book called Blink. He talks about thin slicing. We start making determinations within milliseconds of whether or not we're paying attention and want to pay attention to somebody. It happens all the time. So we don't have to wait for 6, 8, 10 months, 5 years. We don't have to be doing stuff with people since grade school. We don't need that. We just need to connect to people and make sure we're connecting to them personally and professionally, and things can happen. Develop trust. I don't know. Are there any slides behind these? Click to the next one, Cole.
Click to the next one. Yeah. And
no, other way. There we go.
Yeah. So to add on to the rapport piece, right? Just be real. If you're goofy, be goofy, right? I mean, people will know you. They'll remember, oh, okay, well, that was that government contracting attorney that made me laugh, right? Be somebody who stands out, but be authentic, right? Don't be goofy just to be goofy, right? Whoever you are, let that come through.
Yep. Authenticity is number one. I agree with you entirely. And if you're a goofball, guess what? With me, what you see is what you get. You either like me or you don't, and that's okay. If you don't like me, okay, kick me to the curb. That's all right. But what you see is what you get, and that's very important. I love that. Be you. Next one, develop trust. Hit the next one for us, Colton. Don't spam them.
Don't do it. Do not do it, right? I mean, you may be desperate, right? I mean, I get it, right? We're approaching, how many days left, Dave?
Oh, God, 84, I think. I mean, look, I gotta go to ISI. I always go to ISIFederal.com to see. There's a countdown there. Hold on.
You may be so
85,
desperate.
85. I'm sorry.
You may be so desperate for conversations, right, that you feel like all you're going to do is just throw everything out there to everybody you know. Don't do that, right?
Be very gotta do it right.
Yeah. Be targeted, and again, offer something, right? Give something. Give a tip free. Give a introduction away without asking for anything in return. People remember that.
Yep.
That developing the trust means don't spam them ever.
Yeah.
Don't ever spam them.
There you go. And then next one is continually be of value. Colton, hit us up with that. I love this one. Sharing valuable content, give the givers gain, whatever you want to call it, give them something. Give, and continue to give things of value. And and you said it, Liz, if you talk to me, I'm going to give you what I got. I'll give you what I got. And then you can, don't just be a taker. Saying.
No, absolutely. No, definitely. Again, just you can never give enough away. And you may be thinking, oh my gosh, how am I going to make it? You do. It comes back to you because people then go, okay, Dave is there for me when I reach out, right? And then they're going to remember that when they need somebody for what Dave actually does in his businesses.
You call it the law of reciprocity. You can't stop
it.
Whatever you want to call it, karma. I don't care what you call it. What comes around goes around. And if you're sowing bad seeds, what comes around is bad. So good things. All right, what's next there, Colton?
Wrapping it up.
The winnability matrix. This is what we go through every single time. I'm not going to go into a whole lot of details, but you want to get into the green, and you want to know beforehand. If you're the incumbent, obviously you're in the green. You're cashing the checks right now. Contract size, making sure it's in your sweet spot. Is it budgeted? Did you set the budget? Because did you know you could set the budget? Oh yeah, you can set the budget. And is it funded? Because if it ain't funded, it ain't real. And then getting into whether or not you have influence on the scope of work. Did they copy and paste some of your information in that scope? Are they using you to help spec things out? Then you want to reduce the number of competitors, and we do that. We already know that most of them are 5 or less. So that's where we want to live. If it's above that, that's unless we helped develop the scope of work, I don't want to be involved in those. Then the turnaround, we're going to see that shrink from 30 days to 15 days to 7 days to 3 days to 1 day in September. You're going to see things boom, boom. We had a couple years ago with Department of State, came out on a Sunday at 11 a.m. and was due on Monday the day before. It was on the 29th of September. It was due the day before on the 29th at 11 a.m. If you weren't paying it, if you didn't know about it beforehand, you had no shot at being able to turn that around. That was $225,000, by the way, with Department of State. Then you want to start talking about the people on the right. Go ahead and click the next thing, see if there is anything in there.
Nope, that's it.
That's it? All right. Well, you want to get the people to the right are the contracting managers, program managers, technical representatives, administrators. Those are the 4 people. You'll have influencers throughout that. It's a complex sale. Every single one of these sales in the federal space, even the simple ones, are complex because you have 2 different sides of the house. Program, procurement. Speak to both of them and you can win. And that's what you need to do. Now we're opening it up for questions. Who's open? Do we have any questions out in question land, Colton?
We're going to begin with some of the sample questions first. I encourage the audience to continue submitting their questions.
That means raise your hand or say something so we can actually do something and help you out today.
Okay, so the first question is, what are your best tips for marketing to the federal government in Q4?
Get a solid capability statement. Make sure your capability statement is solid and you have a good target list, and go get them.
Yep. And my best tip for marketing is show people you exist, right? Whatever it takes, whatever that looks like for you, whatever your comfort level is. If it's sending emails, if it's calling people, whatever it is, but show people you exist. Right. I agree with you. No voicemails.
No voicemails. They're not going to call you back. And if they do call you back, they're not calling you back when you're ready to talk to them. So don't do it. There's 2 tips. That's 2 best tips right there. Go ahead. What's next, Colton?
Next question is, what is the easiest way for me to get started today?
I'll take this one.
Okay.
The easiest way for you to get started today is attending this webinar, right? you're already thinking, what can I do? What kind of actions can I take? And if you haven't walked away from here with half a dozen things that you can turn into actions, right, in the next hour, 2 hours, then you haven't been paying attention.
I agree. I was just gonna say you haven't been paying attention. So, all right. So what we got next, Colton?
The next question is, where's the biggest area of opportunity for reaching federal government contacts in Q4?
I'm going to take that. I mean, obviously you have IT, you have facilities, you have IT products and services, by the way, big. Facilities, huge. Healthcare, obviously, for obvious reasons. Training, management consulting, all those are very big. I think it's actually better to say what they don't buy. And the only thing we've found over the course of time that they don't buy is legal services, unless it's expert witnesses, or and a sub of that is and there's some other smatterings in there, but mediation is the other one that we found over the course of time just doesn't exist in large quantities in the federal government. I'd say it shouldn't. Let's just say it doesn't. There's a lot of lawyers in DC apparently that think they know what they're doing. Just saying. And I'll leave that alone. Get myself in trouble. All right.
What do we have next, Colton?
What do you got?
Okay, the last of the sample questions is, what can I do in 15 minutes a day to make or reignite relationships with key contacts at an agency?
Yeah, absolutely. And I would say use social media to show that you're an expert, right? Because you don't need to have, 15, 16,000 contacts like I do. You need to put yourself out there, right? You need to be consistent with putting out that message. People will see it, right? I mean, of course you have to do things like you do have to connect with people. You do have to use the right hashtags, and that all comes in time, but put yourself out there as the SME in 15 minutes a day.
So I didn't know about this, so I'm throwing in my 2 cents in this. 15 minutes a day is not going to cut it in the federal space. If you're not dedicating time, effort, resources in the federal space, you're up against, you're not going to win. I agree with you that the social media, absolutely. 15 minutes a day does a lot of things in social media land. And I love it. I think you're absolutely right. It's when people come to me and start asking me about the federal space and what, they come to me and say, we want something in the next 60, 90 days. I'm like, you're in the wrong space, brother, because it just doesn't exist. So be realistic. There's a reason why I exist, and it's because they make it hard to do business in the federal space. Now, I'm dead serious. If they actually could do things right overall, as a taxpayer, I'm furious. I'm furious every day because I look at the way things don't work. As a business owner that operates in this space to help people like you connect in this space, I am absolutely eternally grateful for their incompetence, because it helps, and it's just such a beast to operate. And if it sounds like I'm a little cross today, I am a little cross today, because I watched some of the things that happen in the federal space, and I'm like, this just doesn't make sense. I mean, beta.sam.gov. Does anybody think that makes sense? Does anybody here think that makes sense? And that drives me crazy, because it should work. It should be an improvement over FBO. And so that drives me nuts. So with that, I say 15 minutes is not enough. And now I'm going to get off my soapbox. And any other questions there, Colton?
It is a jumping off point.
Oh, absolutely. So, you got to start with 50. You can't get to the time that's really necessary without doing the first 15 minutes. And I think you're absolutely right. From a great investment of time, scrolling through LinkedIn, tapping a couple people that seem to make sense. If you look at my LinkedIn profile, the people that are connecting with me, I mean, I got some serious players in there, and I did it on purpose. And Liz can attest to the importance of paying attention to who you're inviting and who you're accepting.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Colton. Yep. Colton, do we have questions from the audience, I hope?
I think we do have a couple questions. Again, any audience members, I want to encourage you to type your questions into the chat box so that I can read them all for our speakers. So I'm going to look through. First, this is a wonderful to have this broadcasted. Might Liz DeRosa and Dave Lowe provide their contact or contact me with any personal development question? Again, I have their contact information right up on the screen, so I'm going to move to the next question. Let's see. Love Dave, what enthusiasm. Nice comment. I'm going to keep looking through for some more questions.
I love you too. I don't know who it was, but I love you too. I don't care who it is. They say I've
One
enthusiasm.
question. Let's see. How do we find potential contracts? They say contracts. I'm not sure if they meant contacts. So Dave and Liz, the question is, how do we find potential contacts?
You want me to take that one, Liz?
Sure.
There's two main repositories, FPDS, which is now beta.sam.gov. FPDS still exists. That's the repository. That's where everybody looks for all the contacts. FPDS.gov is where you'll find the contracts, everything that's been awarded. New contracts, totally different. Totally different. I mean, forecasting, there were some weathermen, so you can't rely on those. And if you look, you're looking at all the rest of the things that come out that everybody else sees, everybody sees them. The ones that are buried, the contracts that are buried are come from people. And that gets you to the contacts, which I think is the real question, is how do you find the contacts? And the contacts are associated with, some of them are associated with some of the contracts, so you can see who's kind of playing in your space. And when we do our intelligence, what we do is we slam all that stuff together and say, this lady is just smoking in this area, and this guy right here, he's on fire in this area. And we do it by assembling the NAICS codes and things like that. It takes a while, but what you can do is you can go there. FBO also has contacts that are associated. GSA eBuy also has contacts that are associated with each individual purchase. And you can start to peel back the onion a little bit. It takes time. That's a huge investment of time, which is why we do what we do. But you can
Sure.
you can certainly do. You can take it from there. And I think contacts on LinkedIn is
Sure.
another place.
Well, absolutely. I mean, all of these folks are on social media, right? Because they are sharing what their agency is doing. They're sharing their wins for sure, right? And they're connecting with people. And so look on people's LinkedIn and connect with people who you know are connected to people, right? Because most people keep their connections open. So like if you're connected with me, you can see all of my 16,000 connections. You can search, and that doesn't cost you anything. I mean, it costs you time.
Mm-hmm.
Right? But you're not buying a list per se.
Yep.
And so if you don't have the money to buy a list, then you're going to need to do some, guerrilla sourcing, right?
Yeah.
And actually go to people who have really rich connections and find them yourselves, because people are posting emails, they're posting phone numbers, right? And so you're able to get that information. Again, it takes time, but
Yep.
you can do it on social media.
There's this other new company called Google. Just saying.
What else do we have, Colton?
Okay. Do you know folk in the ISO 28001 space?
Oh, you mean the ISO? What was it? ISO
28001 space.
Which one is that? Which is ISO 28001? I know. What is that space?
If you have asked that question, please feel free to respond and follow up
It's
and
a
clarify. I'm going to move on to the
security management systems, right? That's security management for supply chain is what that is. The answer is yes. Yeah, I know. Supply chain's a huge issue. If you didn't see it happening, all you got to say is, well, it's 2 words: toilet paper. Supply chain. Yeah, supply chain, but security management systems for supply chain. I wasn't sure which one that was. I know that there's different ISO for health and just regular 9000, 9001, all that stuff. Yeah, and the answer is the ISO certifications are you, if you're looking for primes, the primes with ISO certifications is what you're looking for. Sounds like, but yes.
Okay, I think there's a couple more questions here.
Sure.
Let's see. What is the best venue to learn of opportunities in federal government for selling food?
For selling what?
Food.
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 We did some intelligence years ago for coastal Sunbelt produce. The number one places that you're going to find food is Defense Commissary Agency. You have obviously VA, any of the hospitals, they're going to have it. Food as a, I'd have to look at that a little bit more, but the number one place that we found that was buying huge numbers of produce was the Defense Commissary Agency.
Okay, I think we have a couple more questions.
Okay.
Could you elaborate between SAM.gov versus SAM.bid? I've been frustrated with the changeover from SBO to SAM.gov.
Yeah, you're the only one that's frustrated. You're all, jeez. Beta.sam.bid is our product, and it's actually in beta. It's literally in beta. We didn't release it yet. It's in beta. But if you'd like to participate, shoot me an email, and I'll get you as a participant in beta.sam.bid. What it is it's a tool that just, if all you had to do is not have to log into it, it'd be worth it, wouldn't you say? Just saying. It does what it's supposed to do. And Judith Sawatsky is the one that released it. And I had a conversation with her last November, who said that within 3 weeks they were going to have the notification tool. It's July. I don't know if you know, but it is July. Anyhow, go ahead. That's the difference. Beta.sam.bid's everything. What's
okay,
next?
The next question. How can we best utilize 8A, BD sole source status for contracts?
Oh, very, very good question. So any of your socioeconomic certifications are beautiful things in your quiver. And marketing capability statement, number one, but don't market as an 8A. That's the icing on the cake. You want to market the rest of your qualifications. Use your certifications, professional certifications, ISO, as we just talked about, ISO, Lean Six Sigma, whatever you got in your quiver, that's your qualifications. Your hub zone, your 8A, your woman-owned small business, your service-disabled veteran-owned status, all those things, those are quiver tools for the contracting officers. Program people don't care about those things. Not saying they should or shouldn't. I'm saying they don't care. That's a contracting mechanism. Procurement people do care. That helps them with the checklist and things like that. First things first, qualifications. Be the SME. If you're the subject matter, oh, by the way, how can we get to you? Oh, we're 8A, we're hub zone, we're purple unicorn because we got all of them all together and all that kind of thing. That's great. But absolutely, positively, you want to leverage that. And you can do some research and find people that are more prone to use 8A, because there's a lot of people that don't like 8As, because once it gets stuck in 8A land, you can't get it out. So they want to try to keep it from getting an 8A. I'm not arguing with the process. I'm telling you the truth, that there are people, the SBA wants to have that in 8A land forever. And if something goes wrong and the 8A can't perform, then they can't get it out and they have to keep going to 8As, which sometimes help you, but that's starting to crack. That's been cracking over the last 3-4 years now. So what we would say is definitely leverage it. Look for the people that gravitate towards 8A from the purchasing side, great people to target. And then on the other side, all about your quals. Keep your 8A in your pocket until you get on procurement side. That's all I have to say.
I think we still have a few more questions here.
Go ahead. We got time. We got time, Liz?
Yes.
One is, can you repeat slowly the list of contracts that were awarded?
A list of contracts that were awarded.
Did you mean the best opportunities?
I'm sorry. No, it's probably asking for fpds.gov. It's also on beta.sam.gov. You would look under the awards and they would be there. And if you go to ISI Federal and click the 90-second challenge, that link will take you right to the awards. The second link will. First one is opportunities. Okay,
I think we still have a few more.
Okay, go ahead.
What agencies do you expect to be the big spenders for Q4, and has the best-in-class hurt a lot of small businesses?
Ooh, double-edged. Okay. So for those of you who don't know what best-in-class is, best-in-class contracts are large IDIQ contracts that are awarded that have that's your minimal competition right there in embodied, right? So best-in-class NASA soup. If you're on it, you're great. If you're not on it, you're not on it. FSSI, huge. Problematic now. I don't like them. I'm just telling you, I don't like them. I don't like what it does with small businesses. It crushes them and it drives the margins down and it creates the environment for primes to take advantage of small business. And I don't like it. What was the first part of that question?
The first part was what agencies do you expect to be the big spenders for Q4?
They're all spending money. I mean, there's very few exceptions that they don't have money left because they all have it because they've been backed up between COVID and politics. It's shocking there's politics in this, but yeah, you're really at every agency that we look at, it has dollars to be spent. Obviously, VA still has a lot of dollars, big. If you're a service disabled vet, that's beneficial. There's restricted to that. By the way, first choice is a service disabled vet. But I really don't know of an agency that doesn't have money. Bigger one, DOD, obviously a lot of DOD, but VA, DOD, HHS, good grief. Especially if you have a vaccine. Anybody got a vaccine? What else you got, Colton?
Let's see. What do you foresee with CMMC going into effect, and how will it affect DoD procurement?
It remains to be seen. I don't have an answer for you because it hasn't really taken effect. I look at any new process as a lingering process because anything that's new takes time. When I first got into this space, it was networks. The networks contract was going to, $68 billion. Money's going to fall from the sky. That's how I got involved. Kicking and screaming, by the way. But it took 4.5 years before they actually got anything to run through that. So anything new takes time, but if it gets legs, it could get legs faster. Anything can get legs faster. Is that part of your approach? I guess we'd have to talk about that a little bit more.
Okay, I think that is. Oh, we still have a lot more actually. Let's see. What types of opportunities with the government for online or virtual services, and what agencies should one look at for online and virtual services?
Online and virtual services like
Training?
Yeah, we have to know a little bit more about what it was, but training, huge, ridiculous. There's $1.2 billion a year spent on that stuff. There's huge. And it's, every agency has mandates for different levels of training. If you're talking about virtualization of meetings that used to be live, I mean, I just look at us right now. If we don't know Zoom and we don't know GoToMeeting or GoToWebinar or WebEx or any of those things, you've been living under a rock. So there's plenty of spaces there to enhance the virtual effort. I know a little bit more about that from VFedCon than some folks, but yeah, there's a lot.
Okay, I think we still have a lot more questions, so I'm going to try to run through these here. What do you think will become of Alliant 2?
I don't know. Alliant.
Alliant 2.
Yeah. You have generations of contracts. I don't know. Are they recompeting? Is there an Alliant 3? Is that coming out? I know that 8A Stars just dropped, right? Isn't that the one that dropped yesterday? I forget. Contract vehicles are not my 8A Stars. 8A Stars 3. Contract vehicles to me are simply tools. So if you have a GSA contract, I don't care what schedule it is. I don't care. And if you're an IDIQ contract, I don't care which one it is. I care that that is a tool. And you want to drive people to whatever contract vehicle there is. But I don't know who's on Alliant 2 off the top of my head. So I'm not the right guy for that one. Liz, you the right lady? I don't think so.
Nope.
So sorry, I don't have the answer for that.
Yeah, I think we have a couple more.
Right.
This one is saying, what is 8A?
8A is a business development program that is for minorities, disadvantaged minorities. So if you fit into that category, and it could, women-owned can be part of that, woman minority as well. Essentially, it's a certification of a program that you're involved in for 9 years, which gives you the ability to sole source with 0 competitors. So that's the big carrot. 8A is it's getting harder to get into, so you're probably going to need some help to do the paperwork. It takes about a year. Every once in a while you see one a little bit faster, but Rafael Marrero, who I work with on a regular basis, does this all the time. Usually takes about a year, sometimes 2. And you go through kicking things back and forth, and they do a vetting process that is not fast. And as a result, it just takes time to get and obtain. There's restrictions associated with how much you're worth and how much you've earned and how much you earn. There's a magic to it that Rafael knows that I don't understand all that about. I just throw it over the fence to him because he loves paperwork and I don't, just saying. But the 8A program is it's a business development program that is run by the SBA. And if you have it, it's beneficial to you to market it. It doesn't get you jack bupkis squat if you don't market it. So you got to take it to the street. And it's 5 out of 9 spend that time and don't get one sale. 5 of 9. So just do the math on that. So be pushing yourself out in the marketplace, whether you got an 8A or not. It's a tool. It's a great tool, because if they say, how do we buy from you? That's when you know you're talking to somebody. How do we get to you? And you say, hey, well, we have an 8A, we have GSA, we have Hub Zone, we have, service disabled, whatever those quivers are that you have, or the arrows in your quiver that you have. But 8A is a great tool, and you can look it up. It's a SBA 8A program on SBA.gov.
The next question is, what is your opinion on CIOCS?
CIOCSP? And CSP? That's an IDIQ. So yeah, that's an IDIQ as well. And I love IDIQs if you can get on them, but it's harder and harder and harder to get on them because it's a classic catch-22. In order to be able to get on it, you have to have past performance. Well, how do you have past performance if you don't have any contracts? It's classic. And that gets back to the best in class question that happened earlier for the large IDIQs. It is brutal to small businesses. It's very, very difficult. And there's no middle ground of on-ramping and help people get to where they want to go, other than doing what I said, is going to the people behind the scenes and getting in contact and building relationships, which is labor intensive, right? So you have a conundrum when you start looking at some of the larger contracts and IDIQs. And if that's what they're talking about, I think that's the contract vehicle. It's a great, any vehicle. Soup is the best. Just saying. Soup, NASA, smoking great organization. And they're going to be on VFedCon in November too, by the way. They're coming. We're trying to do that in August, but it just didn't come together. So we're doing it in November, where we're going to have all the large prime IDIQ holders so that you can communicate with them. But yeah.
Okay. The next question is, can you state what service your firm does?
What service? My firm? You start first, Liz.
Sure. I help people leverage the digital world. Bottom line, right? This is where you're going to be developing the relationship and showing that you're a SME, right? And helping people put out that brand messaging, figuring out that strategy of building those relationships, right? And I also can get you the targeted lists.
So on our side, we do the intelligence for the broader intelligence of the shaking out the whole marketplace and figuring out who the key decision makers are. Then we do the grunt work. If you think about a salesperson's layer at the top, supporting a salesperson. So all those things that get you out in front of key decision makers. What Liz does, getting you out in front of those key decision makers.
Mm-hmm.
The rest of the grunt work, all the rest of the grunt work, the salespeople hate, is what my company does. I built it for me because I hate doing this stuff. That's why I built it. I don't want to do it. And I know no other salespeople want to do it. And they know that they're the best that they are is when they're out in front of key decision makers in front of them, having meaningful dialogue. That's what relationships are. So if we're having meaningful relationship conversations, that's where you want to be. So we do the pieces underneath of that. Marketing, pushing the market, email marketing, capabilities marketing, introduction campaigns, briefings, DFADCon, setting yourself up as a subject matter expert at every instance. Social media, briefings, in front of people, doing speaking engagements, those types of things. That's exactly where, VFADCon is one of the pieces, but really retooling your mindset. Oh my gosh, get proactive. That's number one that we do, is help you get proactive about going out into the marketplace. And no freaking messages. We never leave them. We never leave messages. And we talk to hundreds and thousands of contracting officers a month. Thousands. Never leave a message.
Okay, the next question is, what's the best way to find simplified acquisition?
Oh, I love that. That's a great question. Talk to people. Simplified acquisitions aren't going to show up anywhere like that. They're not showing up. You got to talk to people, number one, and drive the fact that you have something that fits in with that simplified acquisition. Proof of concept, pilot programs, whatever you want to call it, $150,000 or less. That's simplified acquisition, by the way, and it's $250,000. It's $250,000, but a lot of people are still in the $150,000 zone. But until that gets through the system, because $250,000, there's a lot of things that happen in $250,000 in simplified acquisition. And simplified, so people understand really quick, because that's a pretty specific term, right? So simplified acquisition means they don't have to do everything that they have to in the full exposure. And that's what shortlisting is all about, is identifying things that you can drive through simplified acquisitions and use that as a procurement direction. Love them. Love them.
Okay, still have a couple more minutes for questions.
Yeah,
so,
sure.
Let's see. What are ID holders?
IDIQ holders, probably. I probably said that too fast. Talk too fast. Just slow down. IDIQ, indefinite delivery, indefinite quantity. That's one of the acronyms that is a GSA vehicle, GWAC. You have multiple award schedules and things. They're very similar to blanket purchase agreements. Both those two vehicles, they are simply a competed group of people that, or it could be one, but it's at least one holder that has an indefinite delivery, indefinite quantity. What they're saying is, we want to do business with you. We're not sure what we want to do, and we want to be able to come to you and say, give us a price. And we don't want to have to compete it as this huge thing. We're just going to give you a cap. Blanket purchase agreements can have a cap of $1 million over the course of the vehicle, or it could be 10 million or 50 million or 100 million. And then there's calls on BPAs or task orders that are issued that are competed only through and between those IDIQ holders. So they're the ones that hold. If you look up NASA SEWP, SEWP, not SOUP, that might probably come up anyway. NASA SEWP, SEWP, is one of the best run IDIQs I have ever seen. And I love Joanna. She's brilliant, absolutely brilliant at running these things. You can get, oh, it's fantastic. You look it up. But there's 100 and some odd now that are on NASA SEWP. And what happens is it just goes out to them, and then they choose what they want to bid on. And out of those 100 and some odd, I think it's 148 the last time I looked. I don't remember for sure, but I think that's about it. But we helped a couple people get it, so I know that it exists. And as a result of that, it's over $10 billion that flows through those 100 companies. It's over 10 billion. And that's why, and they run it very, very well. Run it very well. About IDIQs, indefinite delivery, indefinite quantity. What else you got, Colton?
Let me check. Okay, it looks like that's all the questions we have for today. We're just about coming up to the 2 o'clock deadline. So I'm gonna hand it back over to you, Liz and Dave. Do you have anything else you would like to say before we finish up with the presentation?
You go ahead, Liz. I'll cap it out.
Okay. Well, from my perspective, you've got 85 days left. If you don't have a strategy, sit down this afternoon and come up with a strategy, right? It doesn't have to be complex. It just needs to get you through the next 85 days. But make sure you're taking action on it every day. You're putting yourself out there as a SME. You're leveraging who you know, and you're targeted with making those connections, and you're talking to people every single day.
Love it. That's great advice. And if you want to juice it up, that's what we're doing right now. We're 90 day, we're in the last 90-day mode, exactly like that. And the question is, how many people can we get to? How fast can we get to them? And how can we get your message across to say you should be on the short list when things drop this September? And then not only that, set yourself up for a successful 2021. Don't worry. The chances of winning something between now, you're better than a half court shot. Anybody play basketball? We're better than a half court shot right now, because everybody that is your competition has been working since October, or before that, they've been involved in this for years or decades. So be realistic. Take your shot. Take it. Do it. Mm-hmm. Put effort into it. Take that shot. Take the best shot you can. And then make sure that you continue the efforts. If you want to play in this space, it's a marathon, not a sprint. Mm-hmm. Marathon. And that marathon is long. And you have to have a hard head, because it hurts when you're banging against the wall. Even if you've been around for a while, it is challenging. So it can be done. You can win in this space. There's a lot of people, there's billions, hundreds of billions. Where else do you see that? You just don't see it anywhere else. And a lot of companies to be able to do that. So yeah, shoot me an email. We can talk about that if you need any additional help. Love to be able to help that, and we really appreciate being here. Jennifer and I connected a couple months ago, and she came in like a white knight and did a great presentation on VFedCon. So thank you, Jennifer, for that, and thanks for having us here. And feel free to reach out anytime. And if you've been reaching out to me right now, it's been going to somebody else, because I do not disturb on my phone. We're done here.
Yes, thank everybody so much for joining us, and Colton for managing the presentation. And
yeah, great job, man. It was awesome.
Thank you, Liz. Thank you, Liz and Dave, for a great presentation and sharing your time with us. And thank you to everyone who joined us. The recording will be on our website and YouTube channel within the next 24 hours. Please join us this Friday as we cover each part of the FAR, and join us next Wednesday for more hot topics in federal government contracting.
There you go. Good stuff. Thanks, Colton.
Bye.
Yeah.